Welcome to this Up Go Wise explainer of David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me. Now, if you know the author, you might assume we're about to dive into a lecture on extreme toughness, pushing the body to its absolute breaking point. We're not. This explainer is actually a tender yet incredibly weighty intervention against your inner witness. It's really about self-command under pressure. We're going to break down how you actually start when you feel entirely stuck. And we do this not by yelling at yourself, but by taking a radically honest look at what's truly holding you back from making that first move. The mistake is not quitting. It is outsourcing the verdict. Think about it. You wait for proof that the room accepts you. You wait for a completely clean start. You wait for respect to stop feeling, rented. But the lease just keeps renewing, and you don't even notice the bargain you're making. You are actively trading hard action for a softer, highly protective story. A story that whispers, hey, they never gave me a chance, or the timing just wasn't right. And man, that sounds incredibly protective. It neatly keeps your hands clean, but it keeps you completely paralyzed. Look at how this architecture of self is structured. Thread 1, the verdict. You operate like other people hold it. Thread 2, the clean pain. You want pain that feels cinematic, noble. And thread 3, the witness, the one part of you that you absolutely cannot outrun. You see, the beginner's problem, and frankly a problem every single one of us faces, isn't laziness. We love to tell ourselves we're just lazy, right? But we're actually just waiting. We are waiting because we mistakenly believe we need the pain to feel meaningful and noble before we can even start moving. Let's get something straight. Most people do not fear hard work. Let me repeat that. You do not fear hard work. You fear hard work with no applause. That is exactly why we wait. We call it strategy, we call it timing, we call it healing. But sometimes it is just fear wearing better clothes. Let this sink in for a moment. What would change today if nobody clapped later? I wish this weren't true, but we've all heard this exact voice in our own heads. It goes something like, man, if people just stopped doubting me, I'd finally become consistent. And it sounds so reasonable, doesn't it? It feels absolutely true in the moment. But look, let's systematically collapse this right now. Judgment is not a wall stopping you. Judgment is simply a spotlight shooting where your internal standard still desperately needs an audience. When you wait for the doubt to fade, you are handing strangers the key to your calendar. You are literally letting invisible critics schedule your courage. You absolutely cannot become free while asking your critics for permission to move. So this builds into an impossible choice. On one side, you wait until confidence appears. On the other side, you force yourself through the task while your confidence complains the whole way. And here's the reality. Both of these are losing options because both stem from the exact same misunderstanding. Whether you are planning and waiting or forcing it while complaining, you are still asking your discomfort to grant you permission to act. You're waiting for the mood to certify the action. Which brings us to a foundational concept from this book, the accountability mirror. It is visible truth without a legal defense, a place where excuses lose their grammar. Beginner discipline is not about some sudden, dramatic identity shift. You don't have to become a completely different person overnight, actually. It's just about writing down what is true and what must change. It's making the lie stand upright on a visible surface where you can finally see it without all the theater. Drama needs a stage. Discipline just needs a surface. For Up Go Wise, our absolute anchor is this: a floodlit track lane after the rain. There is no crowd, no medals, no one watching you. Just a wet, white line stretching forward. The line does not negotiate. It does not care about your mood, and it certainly doesn't mock you. It simply waits. This is about your inner witness. When you step onto that track or when you flinch and step away, the witness logs the rupture without ever needing an audience. The body knows the truth way faster than the story does. You either crossed the line or you did not. So how do we actually start? First, hold one avoided task in your mind right now. Come on, we all have one. Second, remove the drama. Stop making this single task represent your whole life, your self-worth, or your entire identity. It's just a doorway. And third, find the smallest honest proof. What is the very first physical move? Open the laptop, lace the shoe, wash the pan, send the drafted email. Make it a move so unbelievably small that your old story looks entirely foolish refusing it. Action exposes the lie with a lot less poetry than analysis. Most self-sabotage is not weakness. It is a loyalty program. Let that sit for a second. You stay loyal to the old story, and in return, the old story keeps you safe from new proof. It protects your identity because you know exactly who you are inside those old limits. Generating new undeniable evidence would actually make you answerable. It would mean the old excuses are dead. You essentially have a choice between assigned pain and chosen pain. Both hurt, but only one leaves evidence. The massive trap here is thinking there is a painless route. There isn't. Assigned pain arrives later, and it arrives with interest. It shows up as clutter, dread, and a deep contempt for your own voice. Chosen pain, however, is smaller. It's bounded. It can be timed, and most importantly, it can be logged as a receipt. Protecting the story hurts exactly as much as keeping the promise. When you repeatedly choose assigned pain, you generate heavy, unpaid bills, lost trust, foggy sleep, low respect, a body that no longer believes you. You know that constant fatigue you feel, the mental fog you keep calling burnout? Sometimes it is simply unpaid honesty leaking from your life. A life becomes heavy when promises leak. You are not being asked to become extreme today. You're just being asked to stop lying softly to yourself. Every outsourced verdict becomes an unpaid bill. The mistake, going all the way back to the beginning, was never quitting. The mistake was outsourcing the verdict in the first place. Those invisible critics in your head, the public doubt, the family labels, they only feel so massive and powerful because they are standing on a pile of your missing receipts. When you start creating just one receipt, the room gets smaller. The critic loses scale. When you chase respect first, waiting around for permission, you train your effort to become a hostage. Your life basically becomes a courtroom with no closing argument, where anyone can doubt you. But the witness grows on stored proof and private receipts. Collecting these private receipts builds an undeniable inner witness that no external critic can touch. Readiness isn't the receipt for action, it's the reward. The goal of this book isn't to fix your entire life in one afternoon. It is simply to interrupt the chain of excuses. You just need to stop letting discomfort vote twice. Let it speak once, then move. Earn your own witness. To continue the internal transformation and access your growth map, head over to UpGoWise. Now, we are going to lock in a strict practice duration right now. The mind hides way too well in long, elaborate plans, but the body exposes the truth immediately. We use the body because it exposes negotiation faster than thought. Before tomorrow, you will choose one avoided task, set a 5-minute timer, work alone, and write the excuse. Do exactly this. Choose one avoided task, set a 5-minute timer, work alone, and write the excuse. 5 minutes.